Welcome to this week's Read the Bible Story session together. We are going to be reading a story that you would not think is part of the lectionary this time of year, and we will not hear it this Sunday in worship because of our focus on generosity and giftedness. But I thought I would still include it in the rotation since it is the assigned reading for this Sunday, and it sets the stage for our Advent preparation. It is the story of the day Jesus died, and the assigned reading comes from Luke chapter 23, verses 33 through 43, which is part of the crucifixion of Jesus. The whole story is Luke 23:26 through 56. So if you're following along in your own Bible, I'll let you pick out the parts that you want to read or how you would like to read it. From the Spark Story Bible from Spark House Publishing, it is the story of the day Jesus died. And this is part of Christ the King Sunday, which is this coming Sunday. So it was a very sad day when Jesus died. The soldiers who had arrested Jesus teased him for pretending to be a king. They took his clothes and put a king's purple cloak on him. They made a crown of vines with sharp thorns and put it on his head. Ouch, because that hurt. The soldiers made Jesus carry a heavy wooden cross. The cross was too heavy for him. Jesus fell and skinned his knees, and the cross tumbled to the ground. A man in the crowd carried the cross the rest of the way. And you can see Jesus there struggling with the heavy cross. The soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the cross. They raised Jesus' cross up on a hill between two other men. The other men were thieves, and they were being crucified too. One of the men was angry with Jesus. If you are a powerful king, can't you save yourself? Why don't you save us too? The man spat at Jesus. But the other thief believed in Jesus, and he shouted back, "Don't you know who this is? This is God's son. He hasn't done anything wrong. We are being punished for our mistakes, but Jesus shouldn't be here." The man turned to Jesus and asked, "Will you take me to heaven with you?" And Jesus looked at the man and loved him. Jesus told him, "Yes, today we will be in heaven together." And you can see there the people are crying and sad about what is happening on the cross to Jesus. And after a while, the world grew very dark, as if a terrible thunderstorm was coming. It was as if all the creation was crying because Jesus was about to die. Jesus was feeling all alone and prayed to see if God was still there. Of course, God never left Jesus. God was with him the whole time. And Jesus looked at the crowd. He was so sad that the people didn't believe that he was God's son. He asked God to forgive them for killing him. The soldiers offered him some sour wine, but he didn't want to drink it. He was ready to die. Finally, Jesus had fought for a long enough, and he said, "God, the work you gave me to do here is finished." He breathed a final long, slow breath, and then he died. And you can see the darkness of that moment. So, the darkness of this moment brings us to the celebration of Jesus as King, as God's Son, and helps us realize who Jesus was and is, and how we will transition next week into Advent and preparing for his coming once again as a baby.